Welcome back, everybody. My name is Carissa Romaine. We are back in the studio at TEDx Beacon Street, and I have the incredible honor of sitting here with Eliza Reid, First Lady of Iceland. So you're fresh off the stage. Talk went incredibly well.
Thank you.
So for the viewers who haven't seen your talk yet, and if you haven't, go ahead and go and find that. You're going to love it. Let's get a little bit of a background on what you were talking about.
Sure.
So I think we'll start with one thing that really resonated with me.
Okay.
I saw when you wrote that article for the New York Times, like, I'm a first lady and it's an incredibly weird job.
Yes.
It told me a lot about you and the type of person you are and who you want to be as a figurehead in Iceland.
Right.
So that obviously lent itself a lot to
Yeah. So I talked a little bit about what it is, to be a first lady in the 21st century when you are in this role that's not a role, right? Because there is no handbook for it.
Right.
So it's really hard to know what to do. And I really feel it's a privilege and an honor, and I love doing it. But it's also a strange feeling to all of a sudden be identified as somebody's other half or somebody's spouse primarily.
Right.
So what I'm trying to do is kind of confound expectations by using my own voice and by doing things that aren't necessarily, the silent, genteel sidekick sort of things to do.
I think you mentioned trying to rally against the idea that a woman or a first lady or a spouse is there to soften the image of her husband.
Exactly.
Which is, it kind of makes you feel so relatable, like you're every woman at this point in time. We're all trying to find our own way and redefine a standard. And so it makes you so relatable.
Thank you. Well, I think that that's sort of the point as well, is that there's so many people who maybe have a partner who is better known than they are in whatever capacity, whether that's a public figure or a business figure or something like that.
Right.
And it can be kind of like the stifling of your identity by 1,000 paper cuts, small little things. And so it's important for all of us, to kind of confound that and use our own voices and defy expectations.
Right, absolutely. Speaking of expectations, I think you mentioned that you declined to decorate the reception area as part of your first lady duties. I mean, obviously you're so busy doing other things, but what are some of the things that you really enjoy about, your ability to use your voice? What are you most passionate about?
Well, it is using my voice, and I really look at it, because I am in this as not a job, I haven't been elected to a position that I feel like gives me the leeway to choose what I want to do and what I don't want to do.
Right.
So I only do the activities around that I think are very important. Right. And for me, that is using my voice. That is showing that women have voices, that we have our own opinions, obviously.
Right.
I shouldn't have to say this in 2019.
Right. It's like very much present day, but we still have to say it somehow, some way. Here we are.
And I think also because I'm an immigrant to Iceland, I originally grew up in Canada, so I speak Icelandic, the local language, with an accent. Right. And I think it's important that people see that people know that it's okay to speak the language imperfectly. I'm perfectly understandable.
Especially being a public figure, there's no such thing as perfection. And I think that's really relatable and important for people to see.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you also talked a little bit about fashion, and I find that very interesting. Obviously, women get asked things like this all the time, and you mentioned you like to make some very intentional choices, things that are more comfortable, Icelandic designers, even borrowing clothes from people. Someone told you that green wasn't your color, which is obviously a lie because you're here.
I think I wear green more now.
Yeah,
almost.
You should. It's screw that opinion. We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
But was it hard for you to kind of adjust to being in the public eye in that way and taking on criticism when you clearly didn't ask for an opinion on that?
Yeah. Hard is maybe the right word. It's a little disconcerting to have people that you've never met before speak to you as if they know you in some way.
Absolutely.
Even though I should add that for me, it's almost always positive.
Right.
And people are really meaning to be nice.
Yeah.
I genuinely think the person who told me that green was my color was trying to do it to be helpful, right?
Right, they wanted to give you a little advice.
Yeah, exactly. So I try to take it that way, even though it's kind of a strange feeling that people are like, oh, I've seen you on TV, so I know what you're like and
they feel connected to you in some way.
Exactly. But I, sometimes if I ever have a day when I have no meeting, it's like what I call a no makeup day.
Ooh,
and
the best kind of days.
I like no makeup days.
I love a no makeup day. It's very unique and refreshing and a different kind of freedom, which is lovely. So I think another thing that I wanted to ask you about, in terms of the steps that you've made for gender equality in Iceland, what are you most proud of that Iceland is doing?
I guess I'm most proud of the fact that there's a general recognition within society that, one, achieving gender parity is important and something that benefits everyone in society.
Top on the list.
And two, we're not there yet.
Absolutely.
We can't rest on our laurels.
recognizing that there are still steps to be made
Right.
is part of the process. to
Exactly.
moving forward.
And even though we rank top of the lists, we're not at 100%.
Right.
There's so much more to do, and there's a lot of, groups that are even more disadvantaged within that big, umbrella called women. So.
There are always learnings to be had
Absolutely.
and to move forward.
Absolutely.
So, and you also mentioned, as we were talking before, the ability for people to, make a comment as if they know you.
Yeah.
Not having necessarily a personal connection. If you could tell someone something about yourself beyond your title, beyond your associations, beyond your position, what would you want someone to know about you as a person, as Eliza Reid?
That's a great question. I hope that people would come away with the impression that regardless of being in a public position or my husband being elected to his position, that I am still me, that I am who I am,
Yes.
and that people who have known me before don't think that I'm a different person.
Right. Which is such a unique and special thing to remain uniquely you in a different position, in a position that's in the spotlight.
Right.
It's hard to
Right.
do, but I'm sure
I mean,
comforting.
it's a fine line between, I'm a very, informal and casual and straightforward person. And
Right.
I mentioned a little bit in my talk as well, there's this fine balance between, obviously you have to have the dignity of the office and the traditions and a lot of things
yeah.
that go along with it, but you also have to be yourself, right?
Yes,
So
yeah, definitely yourself. Even in the talk when you're talking about equality for women and you're like, you can clap for that too. Like you
Yeah.
can see who you are in your passion, and I think that's
Right.
so incredibly important. I think the audience really resonated with that.
Thank
so
you.
Thank you so much for being here
it's
and
my
for
pleasure.
sitting
It was
down.
really fun. Thank
Eliza
you.
Reid, First Lady of Iceland. Thank you guys for tuning in, and check out her talk. Make sure you go and give it a listen, see what you connect with, what you take away from it, and we would love to hear what you think. All right, thanks guys.